Here I am at the park with the girls as usual. They're enjoying their good sniffs they're getting today. It's a beautiful day. Absolutely gorgeous. Let me show you the sky. It's cool today. Lots of wispy clouds, clear, really clear blue skies. Cooler today, which is really nice. I like the cooler weather so I can actually walk them in the middle of the day instead of waiting till, or actually going early and then waiting till right before dark. So we've recently been discussing the elderly, taking care of elderly people or parents or whoever is in your life that you may be taking care of. And it made me reflect on my grandmother, who was such a wonderful person. She lived to be 100 years and 6 months old. And I'll tell you what, I miss her to this very day. The longer they live, I think the more you miss them. But if you think back about your grandparents, can you picture yourself as a kid, like you maybe counter height in the kitchen when your grandma's cooking or your grandpa's pouring some coffee or whatever? I'm thinking about that, and I was trying to remember the color of my grandmother's tile. I know they had a tile kitchen, and I'm kind of thinking it was pink, trimmed with something else. And I'm not really quite sure. I'm going to have to call a couple of my cousins and confirm if I'm right or not. So, thinking about grandparents, if you really think about it, as you're growing up, you're actually helping them along the way because they do ask us to do things for them. Run out and get this, go feed the chickens or whatever it is. And we comply because we love them and we want to do whatever they need. So, as thinking about my grandparents' kitchen, I was remembering certain things that they would do that I love watching them do. And one thing that my grandma did was she made egg noodles by hand, of course. Everything was from scratch. And I remember her laying out her dough on a cheesecloth or some sort of cloth. I think it was a cheesecloth. And then taking a knife and she just cut the strips by hand, no machine, just her hands doing it. They were great. They may not have been perfect, but they sure did taste good when they were cooked. And then I would follow her out to the garden area where the chickens were next to the garden, and she would grab a chicken and basically, in those days, you just grabbed their neck and took care of that. Anyway, I'm not going to get into details, but it was no big deal for me to watch her take one of the chickens and prepare it for dinner, because that's what was going to go in with the wonderful egg noodles. So anyway, another thing too that was a kind of a big deal in her kitchen is us kids she didn't want us to do, and that would be to mess up her butter dish. That was kind of a stickler with her. If we used the butter dish, the cube had to stay like a cube. You had to take off from the end, and you kept the dish clean. You didn't wipe off excess butter on the edge of it. You didn't do that. It had to stay clean. She taught us to do that. That was just one of her quirks, I guess, that she wanted it to look good all the time. If she had to put it on the dining room table with company there, it would still be in good shape. So, who knows why? Something that my grandfather did, and when he'd go outside, he wore a large brim straw hat, long sleeves shirt all the time, always long sleeves to protect his skin from the sun, and gloves, leather gloves. I don't remember if he left the gloves on when he was picking vegetables, but I would go out to the garden, which they grew like everything, and he would go through there and have buckets and fill them up with the vegetables that were ready to cook or ready to take in and cook or peel, cut, whatever. So those are good memories for me, watching my grandparents. And then of course he was always out in the tool shed doing something with his tools. He had a big old giant walnut tree in the backyard, so we'd get to watch him take the walnuts off the tree or knock them down, or I think that's what he did, was knock them down and then collect them. I mean, they had bags and big bags full of walnuts, English walnuts. And I think they sold them like on the street or to neighbors or something. But those memories are so wonderful. And yes, I think that's where we start caring about people a lot, especially older people, is if you're attached to your grandparents. They're always old your entire life. To them, you've never known them when they were young. So if you love your grandparents, or if you have an aunt and uncle that you've been around your entire life, you know what I mean. You just love to be with them. You love to watch them. We're learning from them whether we know it or not when we're small. And I think it's fantastic. And I'm hoping my grandkids are getting the same thing from me. That's why I like to show up at their events if I can. I currently have 11 grandchildren and 8 greats, and 1 more on the way. And I feel very young still. I'm able to do a lot of things with them. And we have a good time. And I just want to make sure when I'm gone, they have good memories of us spending time together and me being there for them if I possibly could. The wind just came up. It feels so incredibly good. It's got to be in like mid-70s today. Let me show you the girl. Lucy, is your hair blowing? Is your hair blowing? Your tail's blowing. Did the wind blow you? Missy's ears blowing. Missy, you blowing too? You're not blowing as much as Lucy.